to know what to do to speak Spanish fluently, first you need to understand how speaking works. So basically, speaking is just two parts: to know vocabulary and to use it to build sentences. So it's just that. So first, you need to know the vocabulary. You need to remember the vocabulary quick enough so you can use it to build sentences. That's the part of fluency. And you need to build sentences that are good enough, right? I mean, the grammar behind has to be very good, so they are understandable. So knowing that, basically you can have an idea of what to do to speak fluently. I will give you basically like 3 recommendations or 3 tips that you can apply so you can start becoming fluent. And first, since we need to know words, so the first recommendation is basically to learn the most common words. And when I say the most common words, I mean the most frequent words or the most used words. And these words are key because these are the words that you will be hearing and that you will need at the moment you have to speak in Spanish, and that you'll be hearing when you are listening to a Spanish speaker. If you actually analyze the language, you will realize that not all the words are used in the same amount. So it makes all the sense of the world to focus just first on the most common words, because those are the ones that you're actually going to need it. You're actually going to need them a lot. So basically, just focus on that. And then the second recommendation is to listen a lot. And when I mean listen a lot, or what I mean by a lot, I mean hundreds, if not thousands of hours of listening. Look, if you, for example, listen to 1 hour of Spanish like every day, it would take you like 100 days, right? To get 100 hours. And the truth is, there is no shortcut. Like, you actually have to put the work to learn something. I remember that when I was learning English, because actually I'm a native Spanish speaker, I remember that when I was learning English, and I didn't understand a lot of listening. I mean, I couldn't understand very well when other people were speaking in English. I was trying like to look for a shortcut, like to how can I like right now improve my listening now, like actually now. And I basically it was a waste of time because I didn't because that doesn't exist. Like, you actually have to be constant and repeat and do the thing in order to improve in that. So there was no shortcut. I thought there was a shortcut, but no. It's just like you have to listen a lot, and that way you improve your listening. So but how does listening helps you with your speaking? Well, basically, first you need to, as I said, you need to remember the words quick enough so you can start using them at the moment you speak. So listening basically helps you with that. When you listen to someone speaking in Spanish, in this case, and they are going to be using words, maybe some of them you already know them. So in that case, you will be like, it will be like a repetition for you, right, of those words, and it will help you to remember those words like in a better way. I mean, quicker, faster, and there will be probably new words that you don't know. So by listening, you will also start learning new words that you will probably need at the moment you have to speak. So basically, that's how listening focuses you with your speaking. And a lot of people think that you learn to speak by speaking, and that's 50% true. Actually, you learn to speak by listening first and then speaking. And same happens with writing. Like, a lot of people think that they can learn to write by writing, and again, that's 50% true. You learn to write by reading first and then writing. The thing is that in life, not only in language learning but also in life, there is inputs and outputs. So to get a result, which is the output, you need to put an input first. And in language learning, writing and speaking are actually outputs of knowing the language. And you can't have an output if you don't have an input first. The input of writing is reading. So you can't write like a native speaker if you didn't read first a lot. And you can't speak, you didn't listen a lot. It's just how it works. So you need to listen a lot before like not exactly before starting to speak, but before you can start to see like a lot of results in speaking. I remember that when I was learning English, I started to listen to a lot of English, and that wasn't the only thing that I did. I also start to practice speaking because it's also important. Yet, like you also learn by doing. So there are two things: one, inputs and outputs, but you also learn by doing. So of course, to speak, since it's an output, you need the input of listening. But of course, you actually need to do the thing. So you actually need to speak to learn it too. I remember that when I was learning English, I did a lot of listening, but of course, I also started to practice my speak. So the tip number one to remember is to focus on the most common words, so you can actually it will be better for you or easier for you to understand when you will be listening in Spanish because they will be using those words. And the second tip is to listen a lot. I mean hundreds, if not thousands of hours. And my third tip is basically to speak. Speak a lot. You just have to speak in order to improve and speak and to become fluent. So when you are going to speak, you will realize that you will make this. I mean, probably you will make mistakes, but that's normal. And you will realize that you actually don't have time to think of grammar. So, but if you followed my advice and if you started to listen a lot, that will help you with your speaking because when you are listening, you are learning grammar, but in a natural way. So you are not studying grammar, but you are learning grammar because native speakers talk with good grammar. I mean, every native speaker, they don't know the grammar behind like the reasons and all that stuff, but they know how to use them in sentences. So if you learn by listening, you will be also capable of doing this. You will not need to understand like the reasons behind grammar, but you will be able to speak like without learning grammar, but actually being able to use them like right away. So speak a lot. And I know maybe you enter here like maybe looking for a secret, and you maybe realize that it's just like very obvious. But a lot of things in life are actually obvious. It's just like it's not. It's actually it's actually not an information for all, and I believe it's just like doing what you already know you have to do or knowing what you already know. You're no. I mean, doing what you're supposed to be doing. It's just that. So, yeah, it's basically the recommendations that I have. So, as always, if you maybe want help with your Spanish, I will be letting here my Instagram and WhatsApp just in case you want to contact me. And if you have, I mean, I'm struggling right now a little bit with ideas that I can talk about. So, if you have like any idea or any questions or something that you would like to learn about how to learn Spanish, please leave a comment below so I can actually make a video about it that can be helpful for you. So that's all for today and see you in the next video. Bye bye.